Lifestyle Designers, this is Gavin, your secrets of longevity.com. It's just after Halloween. People have been indulging in the sweet stuff. You know what I mean, the sugar. Not actually, but let's keep it real. Sugar's actually been proven to be more addictive than the thing that our Toronto mayor is just being accused of using. So, jokes aside, what I'm trying to say is that sugar can be very detrimental to our oral health, especially our teeth, and we want to do everything possible in our lifestyles to preserve this very, even though it's considered the strongest part of the body in terms of its density, it's a very fragile part of our body in that in modern people's lifestyles, virtually everyone ends up with cavities and dental problems, which really hugely affects the rest of the body, especially when something like a root canal ends up having to take place. And we want to do our best to avoid these. And I've covered oral health in the past, whether it's teeth whitening to nutrition for better prevention and long-term sustainability of the health of the teeth. You can check out this video here for the nutritional aspect of it. If you want to check out my teeth whitening video, I'll link to it here. And what I want to do in this video is cover non-nutritional exercises or habits you can incorporate and implement and carry forward on a regular basis that will greatly increase your chances of long-term oral health that will prevent, the loss of teeth at some point down the road when you're perhaps elderly and you need your teeth more than ever to, get good nutrition through the chewing of food, and also prevent these pockets of bacterial growth that can then lead to heart disease and other things. So, number one, and actually before I even go into number one, I want to say toothbrushing. It should be so obvious that I'm not even going to talk about it as one of these habits. Brush your teeth with a healthy, non-chemicalized, sort of almost herbal-based toothpaste, and just be conscientious with that. But even more important is going to be the number one thing here, which is flossing. Flossing is something that has been proven to add several years onto your lifespan if done 1 to 2 times a day. It's a really easy habit to get into. I think it's kind of redundant to do in the morning because you haven't actually eaten any food, so I'd say floss after maybe lunchtime and then floss at the end of the day. Those are the top 2 times to remove that pockets of decaying food from between your teeth and prevent the buildup of plaque and other things. This is the single best oral health practice you can get into doing constantly. It's even more important than brushing your teeth. It sounds funny, but if you actually think about it, when you do floss your teeth, you actually have a feeling of cleanliness in your mouth that, in my opinion, feels better than brushing your teeth if you had to choose one or the other. Of course, you should do both. So maybe I'll lump those two into the number one slot, is to do both, but flossing is definitely the more important one, and I recommend it to everyone that they make it a priority in their day-to-day routine. Even better yet, find an all-natural floss that has some peppermint oil or other essential oil on there with a healthy, maybe beeswax coating as opposed to some sort of weird chemical that you would get from a drugstore type of dental floss. Number 2 on the list is an interesting one. It's a very ancient practice that was done by Chinese Taoists, perhaps some yogis, and it's about strengthening and sort of getting an even feel throughout the mouth, and this actually stimulates the roots of the teeth. The way teeth are held in place into the gums and the jaw, it's not actually by a physical connection in terms of the tooth literally being connected to the bone of the jaw. You have the root of the tooth, then you have the jaw that it's sitting into, but there's all these like micro, almost like connective tissue that holds it in place. And people lose a tooth when there's so much decay that all those basically break down. And if you think about when you've had a really tough meal, you've had to chew a lot, you might have noticed that there's a feeling of firmness in your mouth afterwards. So what the Taoists would do is they'd clack their teeth, or what's known as teeth tapping. It's not a very hard, vigorous thing, but this stimulates the roots of the teeth to, over time, get stronger. And you can feel your teeth get firmer in their place as a result. If you don't have an even bite, it might, over time, start to help even out the bite. And chewing an all-natural, maybe xylitol-based gum might actually be able to do something very similar. If you're chewing in an even fashion on both sides of the mouth, it's going to be stimulating that strengthening effect through the jaw and probably even build bone density in your jaw itself. So what the exercise is simply this. So I would recommend adding it into any kind of regular exercise program. If you're into yoga and other things like that, you can add it at the end of your practice. Or just wake up and do it after you brush your teeth. Do it at the end of the day when you brush your teeth. And just simply do it for 30 seconds to a minute. It doesn't have to be some long drawn out thing. You don't want to be clacking too hard. You don't want to crack your tooth, obviously. It's just a light tapping that gets you a feel of where does the jaw fit best in alignment with the other teeth. And over time you'll have very micro adjustments of teeth happening due to the way your jaw fits in like that. So it's not about pushing your teeth against each other and trying to make them fit. It's just your mouth gets used to this light tapping, which again stimulates the roots of the teeth, brings blood flow to the teeth. If you have the right diet going on, you're going to be bringing nutrients to the teeth. And that's part number 2 of these 5 recommendations. Part number 3 is going to be the awareness that saliva plays a big role in remineralizing your teeth and the tooth enamel. It happens largely from the flow of nutrients from the bloodstream down through the roots and out into the sort of matrix of the tooth, and it builds up that way. But there's also a certain degree of mineralization, but also the need for this alkaline wash of the saliva to be over the teeth for the remineralization to occur. A big problem is if someone's a mouth breather, meaning they breathe through their mouth and their mouth dries up a lot, or they sleep with their mouth open, or they snore, you're getting a lot of dry air over the teeth, and that in and of itself is not damaging, but it just prevents the remineralization that should naturally occur every day from happening. And there's also been some theories that the nighttime is the time when, because your body's in such a reparative state, doing all these repairs all throughout the body, that the teeth repair the most. And that's the time when you want to have your mouth closed and you're breathing through your nose. If you have any kind of weight issues, or what's known as a deviated septum, or you have issues with your sinuses, this can lead to breathing with your mouth open at night. If you had braces when you were younger, you might have gotten into the habit of breathing with your mouth open just because there's so much bulk there. I know I had a huge problem with this. I had retainers, braces, and all this work done that led to me having the habit of sleeping with my mouth open, and I could tell because I'd always have a lot of drool on the pillow when I woke up in the morning. That was drool that should have been over my teeth and that I was swallowing in the night, and having that wash of alkaline liquid over my teeth that allowed them to remineralize quite well. So this very simple thing to get into the habit of having your mouth shut at night is to simply tape it shut. That sounds very strange, but it's very easy to do. It's recommended by certain doctors even if you look up taping your mouth shut at night. And there's a whole range of things that it's been shown to be beneficial for. It could help with snoring. It could help with sleep apnea. It could help with just simply having your mouth open and drooling, and you don't want to be drooling on your pillow at night. It's even helped with people with asthma because it's taught their body how to relax and breathe through the nose, because it is actually more relaxing to your nervous system when you're breathing through your nose than the mouth. In reading about the benefits of taping the mouth shut in order to prevent the teeth from drying out at night, there's been a lot of interesting anecdotal evidence as well of benefits that people have ran into. One person claims to have seen a tooth straighten out. And dentists generally agree that if you don't have your mouth being able to stay shut at night, it can actually lead to crooked teeth. And that's just the teeth drying out, and through whatever exact things are happening, it causes the teeth to misalign. Whereas having this saliva over the teeth is exactly what nature's intended for us to have. You obviously wouldn't want to tape a child's mouth shut at night. This would just be something you do as an adult unless you consulted a physician and it was recommended. Sometimes you can find even products such as a chin strap that instead of forcing your lips shut, you're just holding your jaw closed, and that will naturally have your lips shut. It would almost look like the headgear you'd have if you had orthodontic work, except you just hold your chin up so that your jaw stays closed. So look into either option of that if that's an issue that you could tack on to increase the health of your teeth. Practice number 4 is another ancient tradition, Chinese in origin largely, and this is keeping your core temperature warm. This is a little more esoteric, but you can wrap a scarf. Personally, I've gotten in the habit of wearing vests. It keeps your core warm when you're just wearing a shirt that might not have been as warm. And the idea behind this is that your kidneys and adrenals are the seat of what's been called Jing energy, or the life force that is in its most dense form that we want to contain and preserve. So if you have a lot of stress in your life, or nutritional deficiencies, lack of sleep, or any number of things that could really put a strain on this system, which is generally your endocrine, reproductive, urinary system, by keeping that area warm, it helps your whole body stay more relaxed, prevents that area from getting cold. You might notice if you just got out of the shower, you towel yourself down and you're standing around naked or just without a shirt on for a while. Even if the room is warm, you might notice that your lower back gets cold. For some reason, that is an area that you lose a lot of heat quickly from. So the idea of wrapping it with a towel or a scarf, or just wearing more clothing that covers your core area, really has this way of preserving the heat. It makes your body work less in terms of keeping you warm, and it's even more important through colder months as we're coming up to winter and the late fall season. But it can also be very beneficial even in tropical areas where temperatures warm out, but you just notice your kidneys get cold, or you have this low vitality issue going on. You need to begin working on that Jing energy. So the reason I talk about this Jing energy, which has a yin and yang component to it, the yin being the more foundational, vital essence quality that can be related to actual physical components in the body as well. But that is what's related to the health of your teeth in traditional Chinese medicine. So take what you will from this, but indirectly it's going to be very beneficial in terms of lowering your overall body stress, and that in turn will reflect in your oral health in the long term. This is a long-term sustainable practice in terms of shifting your whole metabolism to one that promotes better teeth health, which could be in the prevention of cavities. It could be the remineralization of enamel that's been worn down through acidic liquids like lemons and kombucha and tea and all these things that can be quite harsh on the enamel. And it's definitely a practice that shouldn't just be overlooked because it sounds too woo-woo or sort of out there. Give it a try and let me know what you think. So the very last practice, which is one that most people have heard of, I've hesitated to really talk about it because there wasn't a lot of science that I could see on it. It seemed to be something that was really heavily promoted from a traditional standpoint, which I'm all for traditional practices. But even when I did it, I never personally found any dramatic results with it, even though I did it for a consistent time for a few months, but just didn't really see much that happened with it. But I'm going to take it up again after reading some studies clearly showing scientifically acknowledged benefits from oil pulling. You can do it with a number of different types of oil. The traditional one is sesame, but coconut seems to be a better option because it has that antifungal, antibacterial quality to it. The sesame oil has some calcium in there, so it's very alkaline, and to some degree you could have a little bit of calcium getting into your system and incorporating into the matrix of the teeth and the enamel. But what the oil pulling does is it reduces plaque, it reduces the bacteria that could be living in and around the teeth and gums, and kills off 3 types of bacteria that are known to cause cavities. I'm going to link to some studies below that confirm all this. And over time it's even been found to whiten the teeth slowly over time. So these are very desirable things to do, and if you consider, yes, it takes time because you're supposed to swish the oil in your mouth and then spit it out into the toilet, but you're supposed to swish it for up to 20 minutes, ideally. But you simply just do that while you're getting ready in the bathroom, so you don't have to take additional time to sit down and do that. It just means you can't hold a conversation with someone if you're swishing it in your mouth. And by doing this swishing of the oil, it's pulling toxins apparently out through the gums. I could totally understand and see it directly working in the mouth, on the teeth and gums, and through the cracks and crevices all throughout your mouth. It's yet to be said and proven whether it's actually having these dramatic effects through other organ systems, but there's definitely the possibility, and there's a theoretical and probable way that it can do that. But I'm not going to make any drastic claims or recommendations on it for those things yet until I see the proof. But yes, we can see that there's dramatic oral health benefits, so it's one that I'd highly recommend incorporating along with these other things. Post-Halloween, with all this candy that's lying around, you might be consuming it. Perhaps you're much more health conscious and you haven't been consuming it. But with the addition of the proper nutritional approaches to better oral health, these exercises are very effective. and very easy to implement into daily life. It's just simply a matter of getting the habit going and sustaining it for long enough until it's an actual habit that is easy to keep going. So let me know what you think about this video in the comments below. Like, favorite, and share the video if you feel so inclined, and with that, I'll talk to you next time. Take care and embrace life without limits.